Fellow students, esteemed professors, good evening. My name is Cici Zhu, and I'm here to represent the Battle of the Buildings for the City of Yonkers, capstone group led by Thomas Abdallah. In the short time that we have tonight, I'll briefly address the background and scope of our project, go into the framework that we developed for the Battle of the Buildings, and also end with some thoughts on the potential impact and the future possibilities. Yonkers, located 15 miles north of Manhattan on the banks of the Hudson River, is a densely populated industrial city, where the built environment actually consumes over 70% of the city's total energy use. It's the fourth most populated city in New York State, and the mayor, Mike Spano, is committed to setting the example for sustainability initiatives by introducing a set of initiatives that ensure that new public buildings are built and also constructed with sustainability in mind. However, there's a key missing component to his plan, which is we don't have anything to address the operations of existing buildings. And this is the context in which our capstone project exists. Our client, Brad Tito, who is the Director of Sustainability in the City of Yonkers, came to us to ask for a Battle of the Buildings focused on these three buildings: the City Hall Annex, and the Case Justice Center. He had a few requirements, though. It had to be easy, measurable, require almost no investment, seasonally appropriate, and also adaptable for many different building types. So it's a pretty high challenge. He urged us, however, not to focus on infrastructure improvements because these could be costly and take time to implement. He actually wanted us to think about how we could promote sustainable practices in the everyday routine of occupants as well as building managers. In effect, minimizing the building footprint and reducing its environmental impact. So the thinking behind this is that behavior modification is not only easily addressable, it also doesn't require much budget, and the effects of which could be felt not just in the workplace, but also wherever these occupants may go with their behaviors. With this in mind, we've designed the Battle of the Buildings framework that defines the roles and responsibilities for three key stakeholders. We first surveyed occupants to learn more about their attitudes and behaviors towards sustainability initiatives. We wanted to establish a baseline, and we'll resend this type of survey as the competition goes on to see how their behaviors have indeed been changed. The survey results will go to an evaluator who is responsible for filling out a rubric that will act as a scorecard to evaluate each building's sustainability performance. This evaluator will be able to score all three buildings using the same rubric, and this is how we will be able to determine who has the winning building performance. The evaluator will also be communicating with the green team, and this last part of the puzzle, the green team will be communicating back to the occupants to encourage them what they could be doing better to make sure that their building will win the Battle of the Buildings on the next turn. So the cycle can be repeated multiple times, and by establishing these three stakeholder roles and responsibilities, we will design a cycle that encourages feedback, transparency, and continual engagement. So the baseline survey that we developed for city employees addressed a number of questions on what they were already doing in their buildings, as well as how they felt about sustainability efforts in their office. So this is a sample question we asked, whether or not they were doing any of these initiatives, ranging from using daylighting to using alternative forms of transportation. And the results that we find were quite encouraging. We found many employees already taking steps to reduce their waste streams. And even more encouraging was that many of them were willing to adopt additional activities that we asked about. This shows that the message of sustainability is well placed, and there's opportunity for us to move the needle. We want to reinforce the good behaviors, but more importantly, we really want to move the willing to adopt people in the middle to actually start doing these actions. But we know that in order to do this, it will only work if people work as a team. So that brings us to the scoring rubric. We wanted to design a rubric that not only incorporated occupant behavior, we also wanted to set best practices for policies that govern the building's operations. So Out of the 7 categories that we developed, the first 4 cover resource reduction of energy, water, and waste streams, and also the reduction of carbon emissions related to transportation. The next 3 categories were establishing best practices for procurement, employee outreach, and occupant health. And of course, we also have a section that is the occupant survey that is sent out online. And here's a screenshot of what the rubric actually looks like in Excel. We were going to show a video of how it would work in full time, but in the interest of time, it's very easy to use. It's designed to be reusable, and it will also keep track of the scores as the rubric as the competition continues. And we recommend that it's run from season to season, so that building with the highest score at the end of the season gets crowned the winner of the Battle of the Buildings. And in addition, the rubric will help them identify where areas of improvement can be made in various buildings. And the final part of the puzzle is the green team. And they're very important because they serve as ambassadors for the Battle of the Buildings. They will be raising awareness for why the competition exists in the first place and convincing people why their actions matter. And after occupants understand why they should care, we'll further incentivize them by encouraging them to compete for incentives. We know it's human nature to want to compete, and so we want to take advantage of this natural, healthy sense of competition and boost the motivation and participation in our battle. But how are we going to do this? Well, apparently, there's an app for that. We found this app called Jewelbug, and we think it would be a great complement for the Battle of the Buildings. It's a sustainability tracker, so similar to how a fitness tracker works, you earn points by doing various activities, and you're also pitted against a community to compete for the top score. So what's nice about this app is that it provides a description of each activity, so you know exactly what kinds of impact you're making and why it matters. It also, coincidentally, has a section dedicated to office workers, and a lot of the initiatives that they have align very closely with our rubric. So the green team can set up a local challenge, invite the Yonkers city employees to participate, and they can race against each other to see who wins on the leaderboard. Using this app will also get people to think about how they can take sustainability actions all around the clock. This includes, starting your day off with a reusable mug instead of a disposable cup, to eating a sustainable lunch, to turning off and unplugging your device when you go home. We want to make these kinds of actions become the norm, and we hope that occupants will carry on these habits not only in the office, but also into their homes and communities. So what do we believe this competition will do? Well, by establishing our framework, we encourage engagement between key stakeholders, and we allow for a feedback cycle that can improve the results by every iteration. We design a system for incentivizing and recognizing occupant behaviors and encourage improvement through competition, which not only fosters a sense of accomplishment, but also gives people a reminder that everyone's working towards the same goals. And last but not least, we demonstrate the dramatic impact that occupants have when they focus their efforts and make these simple behavioral changes. For each of the action items on our rubric, we have an associated result in dollars or resources saved. For example, by using the sleep mode on your computer during the day, you can scaled up by 500 computers, this saves over $17,000 a year. These dramatic results can lead to build a compelling case for the mayor to adopt Battle of the Buildings as one of the sustainability toolkit missing piece for building operations. And we really hope that this will be expanded beyond just the 3 buildings, beyond just the public buildings, but also into private sector. Promoting sustainable behaviors in daily routines, making dramatic difference through small behavior changes. That's what Battle of the Buildings is all about. Before I conclude, I'd like to thank my entire capstone team. You guys have been great collaborators and hard workers, and I'm honored to represent you guys tonight. And on behalf of the whole team, thank you, Thomas, for your guidance and your support throughout this semester. Thank you, and I'll be happy to take any questions. No questions.
Cece, very nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wonder, because people come from all different walks of life, how effective do you think this will be in uptake, in adoption? I'm particularly interested in the Julebug app and how much education is necessary to all levels of employees to get them to understand what those metrics really mean.
Certainly, that's a great question. I mean, obviously, using technology and something like an app will appeal to some people and maybe not others. But what we found was very encouraging is that, so many people already are willing to take some of the actions, and with the encouragement of when we show them the overall impact it can make, and the fact that everyone is, recognizing this is an important goal, especially with the mayor's initiative to be more sustainable, I believe it's a good chance that you're going to get even the toughest stalwart who just by encouraging them to make a few changes, they'll be able to buy into the competition.
Hi, great job. I wanted to know if you could maybe expand a bit on the measurable component of your project scope. So that was one of your criteria or your requirements. So how would we know, based on the uptake of some of these strategies and some of the behavior changes, what the associated impact would be of that? So pretend more people start eating more sustainable lunches. What do we have to say about the impact, the actual environmental impact, measurable environmental impact of that?
So a lot of it will depend on how much data they can reliably collect. And I know that this was something that we definitely looked into and tried to get as much upfront data as possible. And there are some gaps that they still cannot collect. For instance, they don't know how much waste they're actually generating. The director of sustainability actually suggested maybe they count their trash bags, which we thought, well, if you want to do that, go ahead, but I doubt you can actually have someone do that on a daily basis. But to your point, I think that a lot of the actions that we are asking the occupants to do are also going to be measured in the rubric somehow. So we expect a person such as a building manager or third-party evaluator to go around to see if people are using recycling bins as they are told to, if the policies are set to make sure terminals are turned off and things like that. And so these are the types of actions that are on the rubric that will track against the user behaviors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.